Okay, so what I wanted to talk about was these dumb floodlights. So another guy in the Christmas holiday kind of lighting is where I got the inspiration from. He was using one of these, dumb, just DMX, the DMX 512. I think it's the 990 protocol. It just uses transistors with a PWM output on the negative side, and you can control, an RGB floodlight with something like the Falcon controller through one of the DMX lines over here. What I like about this, for being new to holiday lighting like myself, is you get a lot of coverage with one of these floodlights for pretty cheap. I mean, this controller I think was $24.99 on Amazon. There's nothing really special to it at all. I mean, the instructions are not ideal, but because of the way the channel selection is on here, there's really not a lot that you have to understand about it to get to the channel that you're after. So with that said, let me go ahead and show you this. I've got my my power supply on over here, and I've already modified this one. It's super simple. I mean, you can get red, green, blue. So what this originally had in it, it was one of these smart floodlights here. Sorry for the shaking there. Used Bluetooth. It was just a random one on Amazon. They claim 15 watts. I think that was 15 watts when all colors plus the white chips that are in there. There's some white LEDs in there that are strictly white, and then the rest are red, green, blue. But I think it was 15 watts under full demand, because this thing's really just not that bright. So I've got some 30-watt ones on order. We'll try those out as well. But what I've done here is I just made breakout using some of this 18 gauge 4-conductor wire. It's shielded, doesn't really need to be shielded. This isn't like sensitive data signals at all. But 18 gauge is plenty. I think 18 gauge at 24 volts, it was rated to like 6 amps or something. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to go look that up. But at any rate, this controller originally used this little board here, and what they have is it would allow 120 volts single phase in on one side, have bridge rectifier, it would drop it down with a switching regulator, then it would bring it into, the 5 volts would come into this Bluetooth board here. That's what your phone would connect to. And then I think it also did like linking, you could group all of these lights together. So one, you're controlling a bunch of lights all from once if you buy a bunch of these. But at any rate, I gutted them, removed it, and made it to where this simple little controller can run it. I have disassembled my test setup for the Falcon controller because I'm about to build an enclosure. So I can't show the test right now without setting it back up. But that, in the next video, I'll probably end up working on this controller or whatever. So at any rate, why don't we kind of get into, I'm going to disassemble this one and show you what I did. It's pretty straightforward, really. So give me just a sec, let me open this up, and be right back. Continuing on here, I looked at my bookmarks, and it's Lightorama. They sell a 10-watt version of this at 12 volts, and it's pre-made up. I'll go ahead and post on the screen right now, but the thing about it, it's $30 US dollars, and it's not that bad of a deal because it comes with, 16-foot cord, comes with weathered connectors, which, this little version that I've made up, doesn't have a outdoor connector just yet, but it's really not a bad deal if you don't want to do the work. The nice thing about doing it this way is if you can find bulk deals on these little RGB floodlights, you know, maybe like a 5-pack or a 4-pack or a 10-pack or whatever you can find, as long as it is a common anode, I believe this is common anode because, let's see, common positive volt rail. So whatever RGB chips you're using, as long as they're utilizing that common positive rail, then you can use them with one of these simple controllers. The other thing is Lightorama does sell a pixel kind of interpreter. So it, the nice thing about that controller is it actually treats one of these dumb floodlights as a single pixel on your board. That's nice, but the cost to me isn't really worth it because you can get these controllers all day long, these simple little DMX ones, and using, this is a F16 version 3, V3 Falcon controller, and I mean, using one of these is it just makes sense to me. At any rate, let's go ahead and plug this in. So on first plug in, I know it's definitely bright to look at. So it's just gonna go through a small little color wash cycle and then right into white. So let me unplug that. Let's go and open this thing up. It has a nice silicone seal that goes inside this lip right here, all the way around. So its claim that it's IP66 rated, which I can't say I've heard of IP66, but that might actually be accurate because it's using a proper cable gland, cord grip, whatever you want to call it, to pass through that 120 volts through this US connector, this cord cap connector. It's NEMA. I actually don't remember which NEMA rating this is, but anyway, let's keep going. Okay, so something interesting. I don't know if you can see it. I've got this camera in wide angle mode, but it actually says which is which. So you can immediately see right off the bat, it's got a common positive rail for all of these LEDs, and then a white, green, red, blue. So that's actually really convenient for what we're trying to do here, because that is exactly what we need. And this was really just a lucky guess more than anything. I just grabbed a 2-pack of these floodlights. I got them for $30 on Amazon, and Amazon's really not often the best price. Maybe on some things they are, but on stuff like this, you know, if you can wait and get it from overseas through like AliExpress or maybe Banggood, you should be able to find a better deal. But what's interesting about this compared to the one that Lightorama offers, these are individual, I think these are 50/50 LED chips for the size, 50 mil by 50 mil, or millimeter maybe. Let's check that. No. Oh, it's inch. So they're 5 millimeter by 5 millimeter. So I have a bunch of these in NeoPixel format, which is not what these are. These are just red, green, blue, and then you've got your whites there, which are actually kind of yellow on camera. The thing is, though, this controller only does red, green, blue, and as of now, January 2020, the Falcon controller here does not support red, green, blue, white pixels. So it doesn't support those 4 channels per pixel. It only supports the 3 channels for red, green, blue. So what I ended up doing, I just cut out white. Excuse me. Cut out white altogether. What you could do if you wanted is you could make, if you really wanted like that true white for a floodlight, you wouldn't even have to get an RGB. You could just utilize one of these controllers, and as long as you are not exceeding the current capability per channel, you could use just a LED, a white LED floodlight with one of these controllers and only use one channel out of it and get a good true white floodlight for your Christmas display or stage lighting too. I mean, there's nothing that says you can't use this controller. In fact, many people do it for LED strips, for common rail LED strips, not the NeoPixels. They have DMX controllers for the NeoPixels, but this is not one of them. Where's that here? So this came with, your classic, your XLR 3-pin. So you can use this in stage lighting as well. In my case, I'm going straight out of one of these DMX ports, like we talked about earlier. Okay, continuing on. So this is how I determined voltage levels. Super easy. So because I know which is positive, and I'm going to be very careful here not to shock anything. We're short 24 volts. So we're sitting 24 volts DC. So that's easy. Very common control voltage. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive right in. This is unplugged, so I'm safe to cut it. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is cut out this Kapton tape. Oh, looks like I just destroyed that mauve in the process. Oh well. So the nice thing is they actually wired this left to right, and they designed this chip left to right as well. So I just cut all these wires. Not really concerned about it. And it's actually, if you look closely, it's labeled down in there as well. It's under a little bit of this silicone glue. Let's keep digging. Okay, so it's got some heatsink compound back there. And, I actually don't think I have any more. I have some of this thermal heatsink glue, which will work, but I'll basically never be able to get this off again without probably damaging this chip, but that's okay. Okay. Gonna go ahead and check this now. It's got green, blue, red. Beautiful. Perhaps not the prettiest soldering job. Trying to get those 18 gauge conductors onto that circuit board. There's not a lot of room, but they're rigid. Do not appear to be going anywhere, and the strain is going to be taken up by this cable gland, this cord grip. So we should be okay anyways. So the reason that I did 2 layers of heat shrink tubing here on this particular LED floodlight, excuse me, the 18 gauge 4 conductor 18 gauge wire that I'm using, it's mostly used for like security systems. I think I picked it up at Home Depot maybe. It wasn't thick enough to get a good seal alone. So this serves as a keeping it watertight and also act as a bit of a strain relief. Okay, there you have it. Cool, that's it. Next video I'll get to working on an enclosure for all of this. This is going to be in its own enclosure. I already have them purchased, I just need to do it. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully it saves some money. Have a good one.